Part 2 to third degree burn. So back in those days, remember I was born in 74, so I'm 47. But back in those days, parents, back in our days, we didn't have babysitters and nannies and all that shit. Our parents told us to lock the door and don't go out, or that we was getting raped or taken or something, and don't take puppies and don't take candy. So my mom just left me at home all the time. And I mean, I'm only 8, 9 years old, but I knew not to answer the door. I'm hurting so bad. The burn was so infected. Like, if you look through my elbow, you can see some of it through there. But half of my bone, there's parts of my bone that are not there. And I have a bone disorder, so I'm always in pain. So one day I'm sitting there and I'm coloring, and somebody was at the door. I looked out, and for some reason I trusted this person. I have no idea why. And I was wrapped with a sheet. I could not put on clothes because it was so bad. And remember, it was infected. I looked out the window and saw this big, tall, over 6 foot dark man who was my father. I went and opened the door. My dad looked at me and he saw these big green eyes and how damaged and hurt I was. Then my mom pulled up in the driveway, and she's drunk, and she jumps out and starts fighting. Like they fighting back and forth, and I go back in the house. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm a kid. Within 25 minutes after he left and my mom came in the house, it wasn't even 20-30 minutes. There were like 5 cop cars, an ambulance, a fire department. They lit that house up. Part 3, third degree burn, as requested. So remember I said my dad showed up at the door. I didn't even know who this man was, right? I just found out a few years ago, when my dad was alive, that he was the one that called the police. I never knew that as a child. I didn't know that. I didn't know that as a teenager. I didn't know that at all. I just found that out. My dad was there for me a lot, but was never there for me. And I didn't know that. So the police came and got me. They finally got me from behind the couch. The ambulance loaded me up, took me to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, it was the most traumatic shit I've ever been through in my life. They put these big, long needles in I had little hands. I was screaming. They were rubbing my burns with like a SOS pad and iodine. Yeah, it smells really bad, and I can't go into hospitals because of it. I have PTSD bad. I was screaming. I got up butt naked and ran through the hospital. Yes, my dad did come back to the hospital. He came to the hospital. He took a bus from my mother's house and went to the hospital with, sneaking around my mom. And what my mom was trying to do was keep me away from him. And now I knew why we moved so much. She was always running from him. I've never seen my mother scared of anybody, but she was scared of my dad. Because he stayed there and then he went to the hospital, he sat with his baby girl. He sat outside the door. The security wouldn't let him in. And he heard me screaming. He heard everything. I never knew that. He told me that at 38. Because he had sat up there, he was in a halfway house and on probation. He just got out of prison. He went back because he was late and he missed curfew. They sent him back to prison. I stayed in that hospital almost a whole year. I had to go through rehabilitation, skin drafts, everything. And not one parent, not one family member ever came and saw me when they came and saw the other kids' families, I'm going to break the FYP today. So great question. So remember, my brother is younger than me. I am 47 and he's 40. So remember the ages. So let me show you something. So that's me. And I want to say I'm 8.5 or 9, I think. Might be 8. I look like I'm 8. I'm not sure. I was a very small child. I'm 1974, my brother's 1981, so we have kind of a difference there. And he honestly doesn't remember anything about the compound, the lake, the house, nothing. He doesn't remember. Even the times we went back, he does not remember any of it. None. My brother's schizophrenic. My brother got that from my mother. He's also had a hell of a life. Talk about a book. He spent 15 years out of 25-year sentence in federal prison. 5 years state. Good 5 years in juvie. Damn. Part 7. I just accidentally deleted part 7. So we're driving, and what we ended up doing, we were going to go to a hotel, but I made the mistake of telling my dad that my brother's dad hit me, and he threw a big, thick legal law book and hit me in my head, and he had me bleeding one time. They busted a UE so fast it was crazy. They drove over to my brother's dad's bar where he was a bartender. I see them dragging him out. I'm not even dragging. These are two big guys. My brother's dad was small, okay? And also you have to understand that my mom was married to my dad when he went into prison, and then there's this little white boy here. Cheated. They brought him out, and my dad brought him up to the car, and he hit him so hard his face was up against the glass. He said, "This one here, you made a mistake." And then he put him on the ground, put his head up against the curb, and he was gonna curb stomp the shit out of him until I started screaming. You gotta save Clifford's daddy. Part 7. Okay, so at this point, I walk upstairs, I see my dad and his friends, and they're doing drugs, and it's not anything that you wouldn't even know. I don't want to say it on here because it's TikTok, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I saw that, and I'm only 10, and I'm really trying to comprehend this. You have to remember, I haven't had shots. My mom didn't believe in Western medicine. I don't know what's going on. Like, I was confused. At this point, I'm actually realizing that my mother just let me leave with some random strange black man that says that he's my father, and I don't know this man. And I'm starting to get a little scared. So after, I think they noticed me come up the stairs or heard me coming down the stairs because my dad came running down, and he got me another Shirley Temple. We ended up leaving. We went to a hotel that night, which that was not fun either. I'm not even going to discuss that in these videos. We were driving, and at one time, my baby brother's dad threw a law book at me and hit me in the head, and one time he picked me up and just threw me in the pool, and I couldn't swim. He just threw me in there. He was really mean. I couldn't stand him. I would do shit just to fuck with him, like put eggs under his bed and stuff like that, just so that when we go over there, I go put eggs under his bed just so that he had something smelling in there and he didn't know where it was at. Well, I had told my dad that he had hit me, that I did not like Clifford's dad because he had hit me. He hit me with that book. Wrong thing to tell my daddy. Him and Hog head straight for my brother's dad's bar that he worked at. He was a bartender. He leaves me in the backseat of the car. The car's running. We're in the middle part of the, parking lot of the bar, and they come walking out, and I mean, they're pushing him. And my dad knocks him almost clean over to the car by me, and he had him up and looked at me. He was like, "You see, that's mine. You made a fucking mistake touching this." And then he put him down across the pavement, and he put his head up against the the curb, and he was gonna curb stomp the shit out of him. I started screaming, and I think it brought my dad kind of back, because then he just picked him up and threw him. My dad was a big guy. He picked him up and threw him, and Hog was, woo. In the middle of the night when we were driving to the hotel, the police stopped us. My dad asked me for my little purse that he had bought me. My dad put all of their drug paraphernalia in my purse. I am a child. The police took both of them out, searched them because they both have, records. He took me out, asked me if I was okay. Did I know these men? And then they let us leave. Okay, so don't judge me. We all know I'm a little cuckoo. I had a seizure outside. This was when I was my ex-husband. I had a seizure outside. I was married to an addict for 5 years, and I was put through hell. But the neighbors had called the police. They thought we were fighting because he was trying to help me. And when you come back from a seizure, you're not really all there. You be trying to fight. So all the police surrounded our house, and they always surround the damn property we have. They always surround it. They come in, they talk to me. He said, "No, I want her to stay here." He tried to take my debit card. I flipped the fuck out. The officer was Cajun, and he saw some stuff in my house that he did not like. We'll just leave it there. He snatched me up, put handcuffs on me, threw me up in the air, hit me up against the wall, threw me back down on the ground, put his high-tech in my neck. I have 3 shattered discs in my neck. I had a broken rib and a shattered hip, fractured hip. He then threw me off the porch, and that's not the half of it. I will not fuck with Sheffield.
Okay, so the one officer was a total dick. He got me in the fucking car, which is not easy. I'm a very petite person. I might be thick, but I'm petite. It's not like I'm, come on. He was clearly abusing his rights as an officer. And I am very well traveled and very educated. So that was the first time me getting back to the South and actually experiencing racism. He drove me all the way to the jail. His partner even said, dude, you want to calm down. He hit every corner he could because I had a fractured hip. And it was so painful. Oh my God. I got to the jail. I had 3 seizures back to back to back on the floor in the jail. And keep in mind, they record the jail. Yeah. The black officer came in and asked me if I was Mexican. I said no, but it's because I can speak Spanish. So, yeah. He was like, when you get out, go to Birmingham, get an attorney. My partner's in there and he's getting fired. Well, the next morning I had got out of jail. My husband, piece of shit, bailed me out after he went and spent $2,000 getting high from my account. They let him keep my debit card. Meanwhile, I'm in there flipping around like a fish and fucking... I left the next day, went straight to Birmingham, hired me a hoity-toity gay lawyer that fights for civil rights. Love him. $6,000 later, he went to go play golf with the judge. Came down, met us at the courthouse. He said, Kat, keep your mouth shut. I know you want to say something, but don't say nothing. We came in like movie stars, girl. Didn't even go to the courtroom. We went straight to the judge's chamber. Everybody was mad. It's a small town. We went in there. I tried to keep my mouth shut. This motherfucker looked like the KFC man on Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders. He told me if he saw me again on the street, he was giving me 6